Greetings in the best of salutations. There will be prayer, power, peace, patience, and prosperity. Participants or participation, shared responsibility, shared responsibility. There is a principle of what is called the Kwanzaa. It is an African American tradition birthed out from what is called the African American. The principle of Kwanzaa focuses on work and responsibility, which means to work in a cooperative manner to strengthen our families, understanding that the well-being of our families is connected to the well-being of our neighborhoods. The key to social life is family, and those who participate in that activity find joy, and those who do not will find joy in misery. That's what you call hell. We want to look at this in regards to the definition, in regards to the condition, the situation, the circumstances, and the activity of of humanity, as well as the condition, the situation, the circumstances, and the activity of subhumanity. When I mean subhumanity, I mean in regards to um, other ethnic groups, their culture, their customs, their traditions, and how they, um, the health of their community, their activity, and their mental, possibly their collective uh, mental state, if I may use that, as well as their activity. I like to say that I come in the spirit of cooperation because I conclude that adequate cooperation leads to proper communication. That's how you effectively coordinate your power. So yes, this principle of Kwanzaa focus on collective work and responsibility. Mental labor precedes physical labor. Responsibility. What is the rule and what is the model in our participation of an activity of family life, the well-being of our families is connected to the well-being of our neighborhoods, and then our neighborhoods seem to it will affect something larger than a neighborhood. It could be nation, global, or international. But what must first be established is the human person, and the human person understands the importance of work and responsibility in a cooperative way, understanding that the well-being of the family is connected to the well-being of neighborhoods, and that which affects the global family worldwide. Because believe it, Imam Warren D. Muhammad says that the journey to community life is the journey to human excellence, and we're talking about the ideal model. The definition of shared responsibility, and another definition is collaboration between two or more persons or bodies performing the same kind of activity. Of the same kind of activity. Kind, human species. In the activity in the creation of the content of character. Character is the material that has been given to humanity to build on. The condition, the situation, the circumstances, and the activity of one's humanity, the subhumanity, that be the culture, the custom, tradition, and ethnicity. If we look at the plight of breakdown in communities, in nations, we see that it is a direct correlation to family, neighborhoods, nation. If I may use the word nation, but it starts with the human person being established, and it deals with one humanity, because people are only responding to the extent and the injury that has been done to his or her humanity. Economics, education, culture, business, many more that affects the manner in a way in which we interact with one another in a shared responsibility, in collaboration, in a very cooperative manner. And have we been responsible with that? The character, the material of character that has been given to us to build on our humanity. Because character is the outgrowth of one's humanity. The contribution of each when it comes to the human, the establishing and building on the character of the human person. And when it comes to his or her family, neighborhood, community, nation, abroad. The contribution that one has made. Has it been the best of contributions? Is it done to a point that when time attesting the contribution that either you or I have given and done is annulled, or it doesn't, you just say the heck with it, that the good that you have done, and then when the good that you have done and the pleasure in which you sought to do it, it was just out of pleasure, but it wasn't out as a means of being responsible when it comes to building on the material, the content of character that has been given to us to build on our humanity. The content of character. The content is the character. The humanity is the content. As one brother says, judge people by the content of their character. People who know share that. But we can look at the framework, because the framework of the model and the obligations one must have, and that will, and working together, that will ensure full coverage. Full coverage. You cover your age. And what I mean by covering your age, it means that you can be 12 years old and know the responsibility of being a model when it comes to the activity that's involved, and lead the way when it comes to community life. But there must be a model that one could extract from. And if that young child is mature enough when it comes to cultivating his or her natural abilities, as it says, a little child will lead you. You can go further than that. When a child may be 3 years old or 4 years old, doesn't he? He's able to maybe stand on his own feet, his own conviction. He sees another child beyond race, class, gender, economics, politics, education, religion. Beyond those things, that child needs an embrace. He sees there is something emotionally or something going on with the child, and the other child just walk up to him and embrace him. That is a model that is set in cooperation, in collaborative effort of working together to build on the content. I mean, to build on one's humanity by way of the content of one's character. Yes, it says that when one is in darkness, it represents a sense of insecurity. That means that the light cannot shine in the darkness, and that renders one to become very psychologically, mentally incapacitated. And when a person is mentally incapacitated, he or she is unable, to reason, to reason. And I realize that one need to learn to reason from the premise of conversation. So, in this ideal model, when it comes to shared responsibility and the participation of community life, of a family, when it comes to human excellence and the development of one's intellect for the betterment of humanity. The ideal model is that one, we share in this responsibility. not in a matter in a way in which we seek, reward or take. It is like pleasure. It's like having a child. You have the pleasure, but there's responsibility that comes with it. Yes. So what we have been many have been irresponsible when I am included is the seeking after pleasure and recognition in quest for legitimacy in a place of belonging, um, and acceptance outside of myself and outside of the um, the family, outside of the family. Now, if that model has been set by my family or has been set by other families, that they have abandoned and neglected their responsibility with their rearing of their children. And if that be the case, we see that their direct correlation with humanity, um, family, and community, as I said, neighborhoods, but in community, or as we span to nation, globally or internationally, we see that something has been neglected. So we see that there's subhumanity when it comes to one ethnicity, one's culture, and one tradition, and we see that there is a breakdown or a disease or a problem in community. Yes, if we look at a subhumanity, a or other ethnicities, wherever when it comes to groups of people, um, let's say in America, let's say what we call Jews, what we call whites, and what we call blacks, for sake of communication, we, we can see that there is a problem. There is a breakdown in neglecting and abandoning the what, Ujima, one of the King Community word, but shared responsibility that something has been given to us, or or something has been trickling at us, and we go after that and neglecting that which is right there. Most important is family. The key to social life is family. We have neglected that. So as that has been neglected, we have given more credibility and more credentials to something outside of that, other than that which is private. So we see that there is a breakdown. So therefore, it renders the family unprotected. It renders the community unprotected. Huh? Yes. Now, and how can one be a contributor to a society or a nation if the people uh, neglect their responsibility to their family, to their family? Yes, that is very challenging. So, and then we have to understand that there is a ideal model in the shared responsibility and shared authority. This is the message, a model that has been set by those who have preceded uh, uh, me and us at this particular time and this particular point. So, because the ultimate aim is accountability. Now, there are other toxins that influence us that we do not care. So, it's not our responsibility. So, then there is another way to go about doing it. If there is a problem within the family, then you pair up with other people, and that becomes, your family, and then therefore you don't neglect that family, and that's why people participate in other activities, and they can create what is called a mob or a mafia. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But uh, and they share in that responsibility, um, that they must, look out for one another. You know. Now, what has gotten into the minds of people that creates a climate and an environment like that is beyond, right now my imagination. The only thing I could say, you can tell the psychology of one's mentality by what he or she produces, or you can tell the mentality of one's psychology or what he or she produces, or you can tell the psychology of one's mentality by what he or she produces. The environment, because maybe um, are there is no shared responsibility because there is no accountability. Why so? Now, if evidence proves itself in this presentation, is that because no one wants to share in the responsibility, they don't want to share in the authority, and they don't want to share the power. That's the answer. Yes. So that's why I say that I try to speak from a position, or the authority that I speak from is a position of resiliency, the authority of resiliency, because biologically resilient is the author of success. Yes. Now, the challenge is how fast one can process his or her confidence. Now, in the shared responsibility, in the shared authority, and the shared power. Yes. Only because if you continue to be overlooked, you, due to misgivings and an environment of doubt, it becomes difficult to um, to be able to process having confidence in your ability now when it comes to collaborative work, being, in a cooperative manner, shared responsibility, shared authority, and shared power, because of the outside influence that has contaminated and corrupted and even interrupted the natural evolutionary process of that ability. Huh? But models have came and said that for us. Some of you will pick up on that. So, what we also must come to realize this in the shared responsibility is that it is said that you can't really be a guardian over someone else's interest and a regulator of one's affairs. It is, it will, beat you down and wear you out. We can't go about, trying to, you know, um, control, you know, we're talking about the ideal, um, participation in shared responsibility, shared authority, shared power, working together. The ideal model. I'm also talking about per, the ideal model of what they call a democracy in a government, in a society, that they wanting to go about and regulate and govern um, the affairs of others, And at the same time, all they're doing is protecting, really, their own interests. Their own interests. Yes, their own interests. Yes. Because um, if you are under surveillance, um, really they should be under surveillance because they are, the leaders of the leaders of the one who's been placed in office to not to um, expand their range of productivity for themselves, but to expand the range of productivity for the society and for the masses of people, where that we all, be placed in a position to excel and be productive. Because the mind at its best is to be productive, and the brain cells is constructed to to think correctly. But if you go about deceiving, um, 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 continue to um, perpetuate and promote false hope, it creates fatalities. Yes, it creates fatalities. That is fatalism, fraudulent behavior. Yes. So we see that if we look at the certain communities, uh, we see that breakdown, that correlation to establishing the human person, uh, one's humanity, one's family, um, one's community, nation, and abroad. Because sometimes the parents sets the model, and if the child breaks that model and goes after things outside of the model that has been set, then we see that there is a breakdown in the community. Then when you're unable to manage your affairs, someone will come in and manage your affairs for you. If you're unable to take care of your children, someone else will come in and take care of your children for you. Because remember, the another group of people, that maybe the government will have you, they want to look out for their interests. Because if you're unable to look out for your own interests, because it's your responsibility now, if the responsibility, of course, is on the individual, when establish the human person and the family, then there's community, then there's the nation, and then there's abroad. But we have been so tricked, those who get the worst of things due to what has been told to them, and create an environment of misgiving, or due to misgiving, an environment of doubt, and one's inability of being able to process at a certain rate his or her confidence in his or her innate ability of evolutionary process when it comes to the development of his intellect for the betterment of humanity. There's a problem. So we look at crime, drugs, or whatever in any community, in a society, we see where there is the breakdown. I know personally for that. Because if someone is left, a child is left unsupervised, something or someone else will come in and fill that void. And we know in our heart of heart that we are better than that. So why will we have experienced certain things in life, and the things that have we experienced has beat us down, and yet we package that in a way, whereas that those things that beat us down, we feed that to others. So we further beating each other down. So whatever comes up on us, that's what will come up on us. So I want to say this here too, is that I want to be clear now, is that when it comes to communities, when it comes to family, when it comes to nationhood, when it comes to that which is abroad, global, that it all starts with establishing the human person. The family does that. And in that connection with the family, it spills over into the community, how we interact and engage with one another. And then it goes into the nations because we're here. It's a beautiful thing that creation itself and that which we call a creator um, allow us to be here to complement. Complement is respect this life, this existence. But if we do not respect this life in existence, then obviously this life in existence, the invisible will come, the invisible will be visible. And when the invisible becomes visible, then disrespect comes about, then chaos comes about, then murder comes about, then crime comes about, then confusion comes about. Because we have disrespected this existence, this life that we are allowed to do what we call grace. And we say that we love that which we call God. And God, some would say God is a God government ordinance democracy to some degree. But that is, we vacillate. That is very hypocritical. We know we make an excuse. We cannot cover or hide behind, because that which does not lie is our behavior. That's true, man. Behavior do not lie, man. I could say a lot of words, but my behavior do not lie. Now, that which is done in the dark will be brought to the light. Now, I bear witness, man, I have my struggle. We all have struggled with struggling with something. Because have we ever seen the pureness of a ideal model? And I'm not saying that it has not came about, and people may talk about that they have come about. That is in close proximity, though, physically. And even if we see it, we may not recognize it, and we probably will reject it because of what has been programmed and conditioned in our mind. If it's been programmed and conditioned in our mind, then that psychosocial dislocation and that mental displacement, that what we, and then therefore what we act upon and respond to is that they're hurt. And then we will take that hurt out on someone else. In fact, we take that hurt out on ourselves because more than likely, whether we know it or not, we can cover it up all day long with titles and money and whatever it is that we want to do. But man, when we really come to actually who we really are, man, that can be some painful stuff. And even the process of trying to get back to the understanding of who we actually are when it comes to this makeup, this being who wanted to be what? One. So therefore, we must share in this responsibility that we know that we're not a regulator of, of each other affairs. That one must regulate his or her own affairs. The human person must be established. And when you regulate your affairs, I'm talking about that which means govern. You can teach people other languages, but you can't teach them how to govern. That they must learn for themselves. Govern what we do on a daily basis, the day as a traveler. Huh? What we consume, what we intake, what we see, what we do on a daily basis. It's a question of governance. Freedoms of assembly, freedom of press, freedom from want, freedom from fear. Freedom. We share in this responsibility as participants in the ideal model. Now, the guardian of one's interests, policy is driven by interest, and truth cannot be sacrificed for any interest. Only interest can be sacrificed for truth. I'm just building on what people have already shared and have acted on and have lived out. And there are those who are living it out, because there is a picture that's not being projected. So we must share in this responsibility when it comes to establishing the human person, when it comes to family, community, nation, and abroad. Share in this authority and share in this power, and accept the responsibility of our own circumstances is given to us, and don't expect no one else to do it for you. And we cannot expect, if you look at other ethnic groups, they know this, that they accept the responsibility of their own circumstances, their own lives. And you can see the condition of that community. You can see it. You can see the health of it, or you can see that which is unhealthy about it. And you can see the unhealthy relationships that we have with one another because of the breakdown. Because if the human person has been established, that means they have a strong foundation. But if the foundation is not as strong as you thought it was, if something comes in and weakens the foundation, what my mother or what my father, what they have taught, what they have put forth, then therefore whatever comes upon us is going to come upon us. That means we have been irresponsible with the torch. We have dropped the torch and dropped the baton that has been given to us. And we think this is all right, and we think this is okay. Well, this is my life, and this is how I'm going to live. No, somebody or someone gave you this life. The pain that the mother had endured to give birth to you and I. So that's why we must reverence the womb that gave us birth. Have you ever noticed that when a child does something wrong and the mother say, "That's not my son"? She know that ain't you. Something has came in and interrupted and got into his mind and programmed. She say, "That ain't the son that I gave birth to. That's not the daughter who I gave birth to." I'm just coming to make it plain. I know personally, man. I know from my experience. I'm telling you, this is challenging. So we must not allow anything or anyone to manage our affairs. We must manage it. If you look at what we call the Jews, they don't let anything one manage their affairs. They got the best doctors, the best lawyers. If you look at the Indians, who they come over here from they come over, they get doctors and lawyers. They live in a community. And if you look at even certain Africans coming here, they're in the nursing field. They still a community. But those who have already been here, the advocates that have already been here, what's going on? Shared responsibility, whether we're sharing in the irresponsibility. Shared authority rather than sharing being, acting like, you have no authority. Shared in power instead of sharing in being powerlessness. Don't allow those who so-called the leaders to say that to tell you that they're trust into something that they don't even trust in themselves, that they ain't even sure about it themselves, giving you false hope. But I say, and I must say, that we must continue to see the direct correlation when it comes to what's going on in our minds, in our families, in our community, in our nation, and abroad, that it is a public health crisis, that people are only responding to the extent of the injury that has been done to his or her humanity. That we wanted to be one, and we are one. Humans, we're here. So may we move from sympathy to empathy, addressing the spirit of apathy. May we share in this responsibility and this capability, this dependability, reliability, accountability. Share in this authority, share in this power that we have. The ideal participation in the strength and power that can be duplicated in a way, not that it is duplicated in a demonic way or a demonic force, but demonstrated in a way that we continue to develop the intellect for the betterment of humanity, that we can become contributors in the best of ways, not in the worst ways, but in the best of ways. Help people to overcome their hurt and their pain, their frustration, their anxiety, their depression, their turmoil, and their confusion, and their doubt. We can, if we share in this responsibility, be the ideal model, sharing the authority, sharing the power. Accept the responsibility to do so. Reverend Wally Kevin, teachers of teachers, preachers of preacher, when it comes to reverence from the heart, conciliatory healer, similar of the language of knowledge of peace, health, educational health enthusiast, social interventionist, life skill, social strategist, genuine thought leadership. And remember, this meaning of hell, we know that there are conditions, fixed up conditions. In my book, I wrote the key to social life is family. And those who participate in that activity will find, joy. It joy that it brings in the participation of that activity. And what I found out that those who do not have that joy will find joy in misery. That's hell. And joy is the happiness that you feel when you are in pursuit of your potential to rise above the function of this material world, to rise above whatever it is that is trying to bring you down. Do my best to communicate with precision a clearer image to the world. That is the motto. To communicate with precision a clearer image to the world. That is the motto. The mandate is to cultivate the potential of knowledge that is in us all. The mission is to promote the value of self-worth. We always say give to the gift of social literacy. And in communicating with precision a clearer image to the world, it is through 5 channels of communication, 5.5 maybe. The atom being split. Is understanding, and that is designed to replenish or restore social credibility. Tolerance, and is designed to readdress social diversity, which is really dealing with one's aspiration, because when inspiration comes down, one's aspiration goes up. I say I'm a consequentialist. I live my life as an aspirant. I labor in the field of life transitional endeavors, try to make an impact wherever I go. The 3rd channel of communication, 3.5 maybe, is temperance/temperament. It is designed to revive social coherency, temperance, self-control when it comes to one's attitude. And then the 4th channel of communication is confidence, replenishing the continuity of our confidence and cooperating with one another. Ujima, it is collective work and responsibility, shared responsibility, the ideal model, shared authority, shared power. And the final channel of communication is respect. That is to reclaim social solidarity. Because when you have respect, when it comes to the individual, when it comes to the family, when it comes to the community, comes to nation and global abroad, people will perceive coming at you with model. And when it comes to the respect of one's humanity as a model, that which comes to interject something that is inhumane, you will stay the course because you have that solidarity, you have that respect one for another. Yes, until the next time. If you want to make any donations, Cash App is CH Mission. $1, $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, CH Mission. The email address comhum@gmail.com. The website chumanity.org. Yes.